About 5 years ago, my wife and I took a trip to Colorado. I don't know how she always does it, but she found this awesome place for us to camp out at. Whenever I try to find any destination for us, I fail miserably. It's one of the many reasons why I love her. She always has a plan and she keeps me on track, which is great since I'm the most indecisive person I know. Basically, we had free reign to camp wherever we wanted in this area. I drove our truck to the perfect spot, and then we started setting up our tent, grill, music, and everything else we would need to make this an awesome trip. We were planning on staying 5 nights, and unfortunately, we only made it 3. I'm sure you would leave too if you experienced what we had experienced on that 3rd night. The first few days were great. Unlike a lot of camping destinations in the United States, this part of the country was different. Maybe it's just me because I grew up on the East Coast, but when I think camping, I think trees, lakes, and slasher movies from the 80s. But instead, this area was filled with mountains, sand, and an entirely different type of vegetation that I was used to on the other side of the country. I fell in love instantly with the area that we were in, and I made sure that I was living each day to the fullest. Probably the best part of this specific trip, though, was the fact that there was nobody there. In 3 days, we hadn't seen one person, and where that may seem creepy to some people, for us, this was perfect. Then the dreaded 3rd night came. The day was awesome, just like the previous days. We hiked some mountain trails, and we were a bit more exhausted than we had been. We took it easy that night and got into our tent early. I think the last time I looked at the time, it was around 9 p.m. Not long after looking at the time, I fell asleep, and my wife did as well. I woke up several hours later to my wife shaking me. I was concerned and asked her what was going on. She was holding a finger up to her lips, gesturing to be quiet and pointing outside the tent. I was quiet, but I didn't know what I was listening to. She eventually sort of mouthed the words to me, "I think there might be an animal out there." I laughed because I remember thinking that it was cute that she was afraid of an animal. In hindsight, that was very stupid of me because there are a number of animals in that area that could have easily ripped us to shreds if they wanted to. I began listening some more since I didn't hear anything right away, and then I heard the growl. It was the weirdest growl I had ever heard in my life. Not that I'm some animal expert, but this growl was strange. It didn't feel deep and guttural like the sound of a bear growling. It was more like this weak attempt at a growl. I was thinking that maybe some dying animal was out there. And then I started to remember some article that I had read about a coyote with rabies or something, and it went crazy and attacked a bunch of people. The footsteps of the animal outside of the tent sounded light, so whatever this creature was, it was small, like a coyote. I didn't want to take any chances with this beast. When I heard the creature make some distance away from the tent, I slowly unzipped it and told my wife to just get in the truck. Once the zipper was fully unzipped, we didn't see anything, so we both quickly jogged over to the truck and I unlocked the doors and we dove in. Once we were inside, we were looking out of the tinted windows and trying to get a glimpse of whatever creature was making that noise. A few minutes passed and we still didn't see anything. No movement whatsoever. I know something was out there. Not only did I hear the footsteps, but we could clearly hear the strange growl. My wife started to fall asleep again, and this time I jolted her awake. I screamed because what I saw was not a creature. It was in fact a human being. It was a very wild-looking guy with long hair and seemingly a beard. He was walking sort of hunched over and just making these growling noises that we'd heard before. I was angry, and I was just about ready to get out of my truck and confront this guy, and then the nightmare got worse. Just beyond where we had our tent set up, 3 more men walked into our camp area. It looked like they were seemingly whispering and laughing to one another. 3 of the 4 guys were carrying these huge sticks, at least I think they were sticks. One of the guys, without notice, then pulled the stick all the way back behind his head and forcibly swung the stick down on top of our now empty tent. I heard the one guy yell something, which made me think that this guy must have thought that we were still in the tent. fight or flight mode kicked in immediately. I started the truck and drove off as fast as I could, leaving the tent and all those creeps in the dust. I didn't even look back to see his facial expression or anything. I just drove as fast as I could and as far away as I could. While we were driving, my wife waited until we finally got service, and then she called the police and told them what had happened. I think she was put in touch with a park ranger or someone like that because some type of law enforcement called her phone a few times. We never went back for the tent or any of our stuff, which was fine with us. The park ended up charging me some sort of fee for leaving all of my stuff there and technically canceling my reservation early by leaving after 3 days. The law enforcement was sympathetic, but the people who operated the camping at the park didn't care at all what we had been through and still charged us fees, claiming that it was policy. At the end of the day, it was a small price to pay for the luxury of continuing my life unharmed. And I sincerely hope that whoever those monsters were, I hope that they're caught and are incapable of causing anyone else harm.